would be sufficient for today. It's a true story. It's a testimony. And that's the way I hope to present it to you. There was a little girl born into the family in the parents' later years, and she was so opposite of the other three siblings that the father was just taken with her from the day she was born. His heart went out to her, and their love grew, and God was amongst it. And when she was 2 years old, she became ill. The president had formed the Crippled Children's Association, and they were a poor family, so they took the little girl over. And they had her from one hospital to the other. Nobody could diagnose what was wrong. Finally, they took her to Johns Hopkins Hospital, and they there diagnosed her with TB. And it was a different sort of a disease that had them all baffled. But they, of course, said that they do all they could for her, and the father was devastated to have her ill. After spending 4 years in a children's hospital, she didn't grow too much, she didn't get much better, and finally the doctors decided that she wasn't going to make it at all. She wasn't showing any improvement. So the father said, if you've done all you can, I want to take her home. And he did. A couple weeks after he took her home, she became violently ill. Her temperature was 106, and she had been in a semi-coma for a couple of days. And the family doctor was a very personal friend of the father, and he didn't think the little girl was going to make it through that night. So he decided to be with the father and try to help him get through what was coming. About 2 o'clock in the morning, her heart stopped. The doctor got up and checked, no pulse, no heartbeat. And he pulled the sheet up over the little girl's face, and he turned to the heartbroken father, and he said, I'm sorry, but she's gone. Well, the father couldn't accept this. He jumps up from his chair, falls to his knees beside the bed of the little girl. And he started praying, he and the doctor. And he said, Lord, please don't take my little angel away from me. Father, if you'll only leave her with me a while longer, I'll bring her up to serve you. Not too long after that prayer, they heard a little sound under that sheet. The doctor got to his feet, turned to the father, and he couldn't believe it, although he was a Christian man. Her temperature was gone. She looked at her mother and she said, I'm hungry. I'd like to have an egg. Well, needless to say, there was great rejoicing in that family that night, that house. And the father kept his word to God. When she was a little stronger, he began teaching her music. He was a singer himself, and he felt led that that would be one way he could keep his promise to God. So when she got a little stronger, like I said, they were poor people, had no car, but their home was close to the church where the father attended. And he'd carry the little girl on his back to church. He would set her on one knee. He played the banjo, and he'd put that on the other knee, and they sang from the time she was 6 years old. But their love for each other was so great. And the father kept his word not only in her music, but in the Bible. And he was quite proud of her, of course. And she grew up serving God like the father promised. Till she went away to college, they never missed a service at that church. And several others would hear of her and her father's talent, and they'd come and provide transportation to other churches, other things. But their love was so great. And he never let up on impressing on the little girl that God had left her here to serve him, and for her never to forget that. And that's the way she grew up, singing for the Lord. Brothers and sisters, I'm that little girl. And I've been singing for the Lord since I was 6, loving every minute of it, but loving him more and trusting in him more. The TB was not in her lungs, it was in a hip. And that was why it was so astounding to the doctors, because they had never seen it there before. But the test proved that that was it. But she went through school. She had a job for 35 years with Goodyear Tire and Rubber, and loved the Lord with all of her heart. And I still do. And I'd like for you to know that God is powerful. He proved it in my life by giving my father's prayer an answer. And I know, beyond a shadow of a doubt, someday I'll sing with my dad again. That love has never left my heart, and I know he's waiting. And I know the song that he'll want to sing. It was an old, old song, but it was one of his very favorite ones. And he walks with me, and he talks with me, and he tells me I am his own. And the joy we share as we tarry there, none other has ever known. God bless all of you today. And I hope you've received a blessing from my dad's prayer. And I hope you'll have the faith that my dad had and taught to me I love my Lord so much, and He's blessed me in so many ways. I could not even take a time. My pastor and I talked this over before I was led to tell him about it. But in my heart, there's no doubt God is a miracle worker, and I'm here to prove it.
Thank you, Pat. What a powerful testimony. Go ahead and give her a hand. A wonderful testimony and a powerful testimony. But when you testify, giving people your story, you're not giving everybody your story. You're giving them God's story in your life. And you know, we've all got one of those. We all should be ready to give testimony about this is what God has done in my life. I know you've heard different bits of mine, like back on May 4th when we were talking about discipleship. Told you about how God's working in my life, and He's working in my life now. We all need to be ready to give our testimony to people who say, well, why do you believe in God? What's He done in your life? You should be ready like that to say, well, let me tell you. Let me tell you. And then give them your testimony, because it's God's story. Okay, let's move on here and let's all sing together, Faith of Our Father.